What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. So excited about this video. If you're new to us
And we're new to you,
make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 200K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, all right? Join the family without further ado. Let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
Norway, the land of the midnight sun, is filled with mountains, glaciers, fjords, and electric vehicles. A lot of them.
Ooh.
The Scandinavian country boasts the highest EV adoption rate in the world. More than 82% of new car sales were electric vehicles last year, and that number goes up to over 90% if you include plug-in hybrids.
Our goal is that all new cars by 2025 will be zero-emission vehicles. We think we're going to reach that goal.
In the US, a measly 7.6% of new car sales were electric in 2023, up from 5.9% in 2022. In the world's largest auto market, China, 24% of new car sales were EVs in 2023. Norway's capital, Oslo, is also electrifying its ferries, buses, semi-trucks, and even construction equipment.
All public transportation within the end of this year will be zero emission in the city.
Gas pumps and parking meters are being replaced by chargers. It's an electric utopia of the future.
What is this?
So she has to say off the back, how long does it take for these cars to just charge? Usually they take some time.
Right.
But if they're not taking as long, like I'm saying, like give me 30 minutes and it's good to go, then that's a
30
flex.
minutes? Child.
15 minutes.
I watch vlogs of the people sitting there for hours.
15 minutes. Give me a car that charges for 15 minutes.
Oh,
that's
okay.
a flex.
It is.
That's high power. Hopefully she mentioned it.
Welcome to my man cave.
So how has Norway's grid been able to handle all those EVs?
That's
A lot of hydropower.
Electric cars is maybe a third of the price of gasoline because we have close to 100% hydropower. It's cheap, it's available and renewable, so that's a big advantage.
The rapid expansion certainly hasn't been perfect.
There are some side effects that we have started to observe. We are pushing cars basically on the public, so there's been an increase in the total amount of cars bought. We want the change, but maybe not at this pace of this volume.
So how did Norway pull off such a high EV adoption rate? And what can the US learn from the country? We flew across the globe to meet with experts, government officials, and locals to find out. We flew into Oslo Airport and picked up our electric rental car. I'm here picking up my rental car, and I've never seen so many electric cars in a rental hub before. iX3. My first time driving an EV.
Oh, y'all park a little closer.
That's really
Let's
close.
see how this goes.
Barely get it.
The first thing that was noticeable as we were driving was the lack of tailpipes on the cars on the road. Tesla is the most popular brand on the roads in Norway, with a 20% market share in 2023. We saw them everywhere. The Tesla Model Y was the most sold car in the country last year, followed by the Volkswagen ID4 and the Skoda Enyaq.
All zero-emission electric cars, they have license plates that starts with E, so it's always easy to spot them.
California has the highest EV adoption rate in the US. 21.5% of new car sales were electric in 2023, a figure that has doubled in the past 2 years. But Norway made California look like it was in the dark ages. There are chargers everywhere. The streets are quiet in Oslo. The air is pleasantly free of fumes.
I got a perfect idea for these electric cars.
in the city.
What?
Yeah, it is.
So instead of having all these electric stations, you know how we have the wireless chargers for our phones, right? Well, it's not wireless. You got to charge it up when you put the phone on top of it, and then it charges up like that.
I forgot what it's called. I think it's called wireless.
Me too. What if they use the streets as those same representation as those phones, right?
Yeah.
And how would they do it? Basically, they would use those strips,
Yeah.
right? And as
Yeah.
cars are driving over it, it would just simply charge it as they're going.
Yeah.
That way, but the fee would be crazy. Like you still have to pay a crazy amount for that, but
Right.
that would be
Very
very beneficial.
It'll be like the Apple chargers.
It would be very
You
beneficial.
know, every month you got to Apple charge you to use your phone.
Yeah, that way
Like that.
that way your car never goes dead on you.
Yeah, and you could, yeah.
Now, if y'all see that happen, I'm telling you, I'm coming for mine.
Yeah, you gotta go
In a
pay that.
heartbeat. In in a heartbeat.
So around 20% reduction of local pollution.
It was actually noticeable when a gas-powered car sputtered by. We did find a few people who still drove gas-powered cars. Some couldn't afford to buy a new car, and others still couldn't get past range anxiety for long
Nothing
trips,
wrong with that.
despite
Nothing
the
wrong with
abundance of
Right.
chargers.
The long
I
trip.
need to have a Land Rover because I'm going to the mountain.
Mm.
That's a little bit too long for the electric car
Exactly.
Gonna get
because
stuck.
I
Ain't no
also
charges
have
in the
electric
mountains.
car for use in city, but not for mountain.
But most people we spoke with were on their second or even third EV already.
I've been driving electric cars since 2012. We just got a new one. It's a Tesla, and very, very happy with it. We have 2 electric cars home.
Anything you miss about driving a gas-powered car?
No, actually no, because it was so expensive. Yeah, when I see the gas prices, I'm like, God damn!
We all say that. Golly.
Yeah,
Found another one.
I'm not looking back.
Why is Norway so far ahead of the rest of the world when it comes to electric vehicle adoption?
There's a combination of a lot of different policy measures that has taken place over the last 20 years. We started off actually in 1990, first measure. We had the Olympic Games in Norway in 1994. So some of the producers wanted to introduce electric vehicle cars by then. There was this car called Think, which was really, really small, and it was made basically a joke back in the day because no one really wanted it.
That's tiny.
Think never actually took off, and the company was eventually sold to Ford.
The whole parliament agreed on that there is some kind of public responsibility to push forward the green mobility. And we set a goal for 2025 that all new passenger cars should be zero emission. And when you have set a goal like that, you have to put some incentives to make it work.
What's the
We started off
Come on.
by having a zero registration tax. And then the biggest measure that we introduced was a zero value added tax. So in Norway,
Free
there's a 25% value added tax for every.
Listen, they got me at the free tolls.
Yeah. That's what I finna say.
Okay.
The toes got me.
Listen, I would have been
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
Volkswagen place that day.
God.
Okay, give me my third row.
Nah,
All
that
right.
ain't bad at all, man. Free toe, them toes is a.
Listen.
They slap you, bro. They
Oh,
slap
that's-
you around.
Y'all see the trauma Dallas has put on us?
Mm.
All of these tolls.
Item you purchase. But reducing that to zero for the EVs had a massive impact. But despite of all these measures, nothing really happened.
Nothing happened because EVs were not readily available then. But it all started to change when Tesla and others started selling EVs in the country.
So we've seen a vast increase in the last 10 years. So now 8 out of 10 new cars
That is.
are zero emission
That's the
vehicles.
spike they was looking for.
So the remaining 20% is plug-in hybrid and some.
But yeah, hey, I mean, Lord, they took some time though. It took some years for them to get it off the ground.
What happened in 2010? What happened?
Let me see. The Mitsubishi went crazy, started going crazy.
Okay.
Them BMWs went crazy though. Them BMWs what did it.
That's a nice car too.
Oh yeah.
Few petrol cars as well.
So if you want to buy a new car in Norway, there's very high taxes on polluting cars. But for zero-emission cars, they are exempt. So that made EVs cheaper or the same price
I
as
see.
a similar petrol or diesel car.
That's forcing your
And
hand
we
right
also
there.
have discount if you drive through the toll roads with an EV. Free parking in some cities and
Free
also
parking.
driving in the bus lanes is also a very popular incentive for EVs.
Peter Hogneland is the
about that one.
Assistant Secretary General of the Norwegian EV Association, which launched back in 1995 to support consumers in the transition.
We have over 50 employees now, have a call center for EV owners, especially the new ones. They need help how to do this.
How do the subsidies work? When you go to purchase a car, is there a lot of paperwork or is it just a cheaper price when you purchase a car?
You don't have to do anything. You just pay the price, so it's really easy.
The
In
electrical
and
car
out.
will be cheaper to purchase. It's cheaper to use. So the electrical bill is smaller than the bill for diesel and petrol. So this has to be the main goal, to make it easy to choose and cheaper to choose.
So do you guys feel like that because it's easier and cheaper to purchase an electric vehicle that it's harder for the people who don't have Well, basically what I'm saying is, do you guys think it forces the people's hand who actually has to buy, vehicles that don't go off electric?
Right.
Because they're bringing the taxes over there and they're increasing the prices, and then they're lowering it on the Teslas and all the other vehicles, and they're making people say, hey, just come this way with it.
Right.
So
It's making me think of the iPhone versus the Android debate. That's
I feel
what it's
that.
making me think of.
I feel that.
But now that we switched over to the iPhone, I'm like, baby, I should have just stayed with the Android.
So what do people do who like to go on the mountains and stuff, and the cars don't last so long to drive the distance and come back? Like,
maybe they just have both.
Yeah, I can see
Y'all
that.
let us know what y'all have.
Facts.
Have there been any negative consequences to this plan so far? Maybe something unexpected that has come up?
I think this is a great success. We have changed the preferences for the public and for the user, and also from the market. So I've been asked this question before, but I can't think of anything.
But Shearstad did mention that on top of more cars being on the road than ever before, another consequence has been more people are now choosing to drive their EVs instead of taking public transportation.
People rather choose to go by car into the city than by bus. So there's been some local adjustments when it comes to the price of traveling by public transport, making it cheaper so it can compete with the zero-emission vehicles.
Where's the money coming from?
This is public spending. So it's both from the state budget.
What's the annual expense for the government for these incentives?
It's less and less, but I think it's about 40 billion NOK yearly.
So far, they spent about $20 billion, and we're still spending about $4 billion a year. So that's $1,000 per inhabitant, or $800 per inhabitant in terms of subsidizing electric car purchases, which is quite a lot. You get an S-Class for the same price as you get a medium-sized sort of economy car that runs with an internal combustion engine.
And it
Norway
looks
is a
better
wealthy
too.
country, and much of that wealth has come from its robust oil and gas industry. Norway is Western Europe's largest oil and gas exporter, and the industry is expected to make up 24% of the nation's GDP in 2024.
The gas export has increased over the last years due to the war in Ukraine, and it's very important for Norway to be a stable energy partner with our neighboring countries in Europe that suddenly experience a drop in the supply from Russia. But Norway also, we have our goal, 55% reduction of emissions in 2030 compared to 1990. That's the same goal as total in the European Union. Well, that's something the oil industry also knows, so they are planning on what next, what's the new type of energy they will produce. And we have now a massive plan for wind production on the Norwegian continental shelf. So we're all working with this transition year by year with the same goal in 2030.
We have a lot of discussion about the oil industry in Norway. The Norwegian government has said that we would go for electric cars anyway. The discussions are decoupled, and we see now with almost a quarter of all cars in Norway are fully electric now. Also the demand for petrol and diesel is going down. That might be also a wake-up call for the global oil industry that maybe the future is not bright for them.
That's crazy.
Ooh. Baby, I don't listen. All my life, all I've known is if you find some oil in your yard, you about to get paid. Okay.
Now, what you gonna find in your yard when it comes to electricity?
Child.
You find a power line in your yard.
You gonna get minerals. Shoot. Child.
Now that is different, man, because all you has played such a important role in society.
Listen.
Crazy role.
Global society.
Yeah. Now we got like electricity just really taking over.
I don't know though, like, cause I'm thinking of Norway, so now I'm thinking of like, rally racing and things. I don't know if they do it in Norway. I don't know. It makes me think.
I don't know. Tesla got too many safety features.
Right.
I don't see how they're gonna rally a car like that.
It's gonna stop right in front of the ice.
It makes me think like I ain't never seen nobody push a Tesla, but you can run out of electricity.
I don't know about that.
Hey, we know.
Norway took its oil wealth and it just did not spend it.
Okay.
We put it into the world's biggest investor, which is called Norges Bank Investment Management, and it owns 2% of most companies in the world. So we've been pretty good at sort of thinking long term about those things.
Birger Steen is the CEO of Freer, a battery company that is part of the energy transition in the country. FREYR is building a Giga Arctic factory in the northern part of Norway, as well as a battery factory outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
The first application of our batteries will be in the power grid. There's the solar power plants as well as wind power plants. Our hope in the battery industry is that when it comes to the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, it's actually the US that's leading the way in thinking long term and what it takes to sort of stimulate the market to function better. And so we hope that both the European governments and Norwegian governments are going to do that as well as the Americans have.
Would you say that the environment is a very important piece to why people are buying electric vehicles here, or is it the price of the cars?
I don't think Norwegians are more environmentally concerned than other people, so it's the economic that is the most important. Climate emissions is of course a nice bonus and also important for a small group of people.
What would you say the next couple years will look like as far as getting to the final stretch of meeting the 100% goal?
The remaining parts is the plug-in hybrids. The Parliament has asked for removing all the benefits for those, so it will be treated as a normal petrol car in the tax system.
Oh.
So Norway made EVs quite a bit cheaper than gas cars. But what about charging? It subsidized that at first as well.
In the early days, it was heavily subsidized. Not so much nowadays. There are some rural areas where you might be able to get some subsidies from the government. That's been very helpful to get the charging infrastructure up and going.
Bernd Otto Fjellsted is a project manager at Myrie Norway, one of the largest fast charging companies in the country. It has installed more than 35,000 fast chargers throughout Europe. Tesla is another one of the largest charging companies in the country. It launched Europe's first supercharger network in Norway over a decade ago. Did Tesla build out the supercharging network before the other companies?
They have been really helping growing the market shares for EVs in Norway as well. We had Elon Musk visiting a couple of times in Norway, but of course it was just recently that they opened up their network for other cars. So now it has been really also beneficial for non-Tesla owners to use superchargers.
We went on a charging safari while we were in Norway and saw firsthand what these partnerships look like. We met with Stian Mathisen from Recharge as well, one of the largest charging companies in Norway with more than 2,600 charge points in the country. Why do you think McDonald's agrees to have charging on site?
Well, it's kind of interesting because all of a sudden they are competing with the, what used to be called gas stations, but now we call them energy stations in Norway, and they're in a whole new market. They can sell energy to cars. As well as, energy for people.
Sometimes the wait be a little long. The people can go charge their car while they go inside, let their child go to the playground.
That's perfect.
Yes.
That's marketing genius. You going with the times. You see, and we talked about this. You don't want to be the blockbuster of your generation. Don't get left behind. McDonald's was smart. They said, we're going to keep up with it. Look, put them next to us.
Listen,
we're going to take care of them.
From the beginning, McDonald's have found the way.
Oh, yeah.
Shoot.
Ronald McDonald and get the job done. I need the whole crew gone. Mm-hmm. Now we don't see them no more. Mm-hmm. But the other toys made it.
Right.
That's all that matters.
Which ones?
Sonic, Mario, the Princess. Anybody that's on Disney, they got on the
coming out with a new movie. Yeah.
Right. We might get little Teslas in the bag next.
Retailers are also involved, hoping that folks make some purchases while their car is charging.
Yeah,
we saw a massive charging station at an IKEA in Oslo.
How much did this station cost to build?
This one in particular is it's so big, so it's easier to sort of talk about the smaller locations.
I'm telling you.
A smaller site will maybe cost somewhere around the equivalent of $200,000, but it depends a lot on how many charge points you're going to put up, and especially how much power you're going to need from the grid, because that's kind of a big X factor. The grid install can be very costly.
Is Recharge a profitable company?
We have investors that put a lot of money into our company, and investing in infrastructure is very capital intensive. So we have been building a lot over a course of more than 10 years. But our owners believe that we are going to be a profitable company. That's why they invest in us.
Okay. They believe.
What would you say came first in Norway? All the chargers or all the electric vehicles?
Yeah, chicken or egg. It's the cars that came first in Norway. We didn't have any support for charging almost. Of course, the first movers, they charge at home. So that's also, of course, the most common way to fill up your electric car, to charge at home. I only charge maybe twice a month or something on fast chargers. Most course, if you live in an apartment building, then...
Could you imagine putting gas twice a month? Yeah, he ain't driving to the mountains.
No way, twice a month. Go ahead, say what you was about to say with the gas.
Imagine only pumping gas twice a month.
Huh.
Child. Huh. This video may make us want to do the switch. For real.
See, I forgot the name of that movie when all the Tesla cars was just crashing into each other.
Ooh,
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got so many worries when it comes to the Teslas and just the electric vehicles that I'm like a little standoffish. Nothing wrong with the cars. They're cool cars. They got great safety features, but it's it's the simple fact that it's electric, and I believe at a snap of a finger, all gears are down.
Child.
I'm not trying to be in that boat. Now I'll be in my car. You get what I'm saying?
The hybrids, but they just said that they're gonna raise the prices for the hybrids.
Right.
The hybrids where you can, do gas and electric.
Then gas stations may be even further apart.
Child, don't
you
do
really gotta drive far to go put gas now.
Mm-hmm.
See, then they're gonna have a big problem on their hands.
You maybe be more dependent on fast charging, but it's also more expensive. Fast charge. Best is to charge at home.
That's why I would charge. I know I like my own stuff.
When they first started rolling out EVs here, the people that lived in apartments were complaining that there wasn't great charging options for them. So the city of Oslo has put in chargers like this all around town, as well as in parking garages all around town also.
Welcome to my man cave. Actually, we built this in 2017. It's a bomb shelter, and still is, from the Cold War, 50s, but we actually converted it. Only EVs are allowed here. I think it was actually the first parking garage in Europe reserved for EVs only. So you can see all the way here, it's up to 86 cars which can charge at the same time.
Okay.
Sture Kortvik has been the manager of electromobility for Oslo since 2014.
Listen, we be watching these videos with y'all, and we be trying to, keep it on the topic. But the Louisiana in me just came out, baby. All you need is a food stand and some music.
Yeah.
Make it a vibe.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to leave after that.
For real, a concession stand.
They're going to hang out.
Well, they already be falling asleep while they charging their car.
Hey.
Make it a vibe.
I still haven't heard how long it takes to get these cars charged. They got fast chargers, but they ain't giving me no time.
Nobody say the time.
I need a time.
Maybe it's different per
station
vehicle.
Or vehicle.
Yeah, the type of vehicle.
Yeah, I still need a time.
Been a European leader when it comes to EV infrastructure. It's experimenting with parking spots that charge your car.
Look at you!
It converted all city buses to electric.
You said that.
It's working on Oslo has been a European leader when it comes to EV infrastructure. It's experimenting with
You said that.
But that's
funny.
parking though. You sit your car over there and it charges.
Driving.
I'm talking about take this blue line for instance, and then let that joint just be full of juice.
Okay.
And as you're driving over it, you're over it. You know what I'm saying?
Or like at intersections or stops or but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're saying like that.
Like put one at every light or something. Like for I don't know.
Well, I'm saying I don't know, but it's making me think of was it Australia who was implementing the 18-wheelers
with the electric bread, whatever on the line, the power line thing. Yeah.
Like
they made those look like trolleys though.
Right, they did.
Yeah. That's a
lot of
work in the sky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wouldn't want nothing like that. The person who don't have an electric vehicle, I would be upset. Cause why you got this thing following you? I can't pass you.
Right, you stuck in one spot. I'm just saying.
But that is neat.
I like that they mentioned that.
I like that you saw your idea. Look at that.
Yeah, see? That's a little late.
Spots that charge your car. It converted all city buses to electric.
Look, that is.
It's working on electrifying construction machinery and semi-trucks, and it also has installed more than 2,000 public chargers in the city.
Who has paid for all this?
The city acted as a first mover. So we had to step out and put up chargers. At that time, charging was for free. So of course, the city paid a little bit,
But we see now that now you have to pay a small user fee, and that means that it's not actually the taxpayer. It's paid by user payments, but a little over time.
Oslo also electrified its fleet of ferries.
Oh, I
It's
got
the first city in Europe where all public transportation is zero emission. So I love these ships that are used by millions of passengers every year.
I feel like that's more
As we
convenient.
speak, and it takes around 5 minutes because it's charging on 3.5 megawatt, and that is pretty fast.
See, you see that? You see, it says electric spinning.
If it takes 5 minutes to juice up a ferry, these cars should not be sitting there for no longer than 5 minutes either.
For real.
People should be able to plug in and plug out after they come out the gas. The electric store. Wait,
right.
What y'all call it? It's gas station? Electric station?
They don't have an electric store.
What would it be called? 'Cause we put up to the gas pump, we going to the gas station.
Right.
Okay. But
To
yeah,
the
5 minutes is crazy.
Electricity port.
This just sounds bad. Sounds bad. Sounds like we're about to go up in there and mess with some buttons.
What? Electricity.
5 minutes? I just think it's more convenient for boats because their transportation is limited. You know where they're headed to and they're coming back. People in cars, they go in so many different places. Like old lady, she said she's trying to go by the mountains.
To the mountain.
It's just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It makes sense because while they're waiting for the people to load up on the ferry,
5
they're
minutes.
charging. Because please don't have me on the ferry and the ferry run out of the electricity juice. What you call it? Charge.
I just think about, I just think about flashlights. What happened to a flashlight when the battery starts to die on it?
Okay.
The lights start blinking.
Yeah.
Imagine a Tesla lights start blinking on the highway at night
Right.
because the battery is low.
Yeah. No. We talking about the ferry though.
I was just thinking about
in the
something
middle
else.
of the water.
Just stopping.
Yes.
Better grab them long sticks and start.
What is the lifeboat?
Start hitting one of them joints.
I'm curious, was it a challenge to install these large chargers
Yeah,
on the docks?
definitely. The building behind us is actually converted a fisherman's office. We stripped out everything, and it's actually now working as a big net station
Child,
to be able to
fired the
provide
fisher.
that amount of capacity that is needed. It's a lot of batteries and a lot of electronic, and yes, they are expensive.
It is
but
neat, though.
The
Out of
fuel
everything,
itself is
I agree with
based on
this.
hydropower, 100% renewable.
But let's
and
talk about it. Are people losing their jobs due to oil being not a factor no more? Nobody's pumping my gas. But there was always somebody in the gas station waiting for me to handle my money on my car so I can get my, the pump ready.
I don't know. They got replaced.
I feel like somebody's getting replaced in this.
They just got replaced,
Okay.
It's higher.
zero
Okay.
emission and far cheaper than diesel. So in the long run, this is also a good business case for the public transportation company.
Come on, man. They killing it out there, y'all.
How long has Norway relied on hydropower for energy?
Approximately 120 years or something like that. We're glad we have hydropower because it works as a battery towards all the other energy sources that are more variable according to weather, if it's sun or windy. The wind capacity we are planning to invest in Norway will double our power production by 2040.
How does it work with the utility companies when you're building out a new site?
When we're building out a new site, we have to get an agreement with the landowner, be able to use that location. We also need to have approval from the authorities. The electrical infrastructure in many areas are already quite overloaded. So it's becoming more and more difficult to get the amount of electricity we need. But the grid companies are working along us, and we're trying to find the best solutions.
The demands for the grid will ever increase. It is not something that has been, prohibitive in any way so far. But yes, it requires additional investment. Yes, it will get harder and harder to get grid connection to where we actually need it.
Gas stations, now called energy stations in Norway, are getting
not gas
involved in
stations.
seeing the benefit
Energy.
of installing chargers.
Okay.
Is it actually the gas
Makes sense.
station company, Circle K, that paid to put these chargers in?
Yeah, so the fast charging market is more or less fully commercial market. Circle K is one of the big fast charging companies in Norway, and also the biggest
cannot
gasoline
believe.
chain in Norway.
Are they
So
The Circle K. I can't believe.
I find it interesting that what we're talking about is being answered as we go.
Yeah.
So here's another one.
And see, that's a good thing about watching videos with our family.
Here's another one.
Look at that. Because
Next
y'all be
thing you
having
know,
questions too.
Next thing you know, you're going to need Wi-Fi to connect to turn your car on.
Bluetooth you know what?
Connected.
That's too much. You're taking it too far.
Bluetooth connected.
That's
now you're putting push a start on your phone to get your car to start.
They can do that.
They can
they
do
that.
Mm?
Yeah, they do that.
Man, see? Lord Jesus. I like to hear him talk about it, though.
It's just us gas people.
Yeah. Y'all gonna come at us in the comments. I can hear y'all now.
Be able to make as much money from charging as they did from gas?
Well, they don't have a big profit on gas.
Somebody not getting paid.
Also the convenience store where they sell food and coffee and drinks.
But no
That's
gas.
also, of course, more relevant for EV owners because when they charge, it takes more time than filling up a tank of gas.
They make
so
more
maybe
money
they
from
stay
the
here for
products.
20, 30 minutes. They can make money there as well.
There's a company called Certus that runs this Esso station. We have a deal with them that we split the costs 50-50 for the whole installation here, but then we also split the income 50-50.
The gas stations are diversifying with deals like this because fuel demand from passenger cars has fallen more than 20% in Norway since 2016.
So they are putting up fast charger as well because they want the customers. They want them to go inside, buy the hamburgers and the cokes and things like that because that's where the margins are.
And they gonna buy it.
But reliability of chargers has been an issue.
It's a question.
Some say there isn't range anxiety in Norway, but instead there's charging anxiety.
What has been the biggest complaint from electric vehicle owners, would you say?
It has been charging queue and chargers not working. Now the market is more mature. So
pushing the Tesla to the next station because they ran out of energy.
Listen, I'm on 3%.
You gotta move your car, bro. I gotta get my stuff plugged in ASAP.
I done made it to this, what it's called, charge station.
Energy station.
Energy, that's what they call it, energy station. And none of them work.
I'm gonna need somebody to move their car. I got 3%. They're pushing Teslas now.
How you gonna push it? How you push an electric vehicle?
I think it still rolls. It's the same as, with the shift stick. I think it still rolls.
I feel like, okay.
The safety feature probably gonna cut. But you can't have a safety feature if the electricity is not on. See?
I don't know.
No, I'm against them.
Don't have that much experience with one.
Right, can't even play the radio. Right? So you run out of gas, you can still kind of like turn the key and it just,
it come on.
You know what I'm saying? Radio still come on.
You can get a little juice.
It's not the battery that died.
Right.
It's just the gas.
Right.
You lose the battery, you lose the car. Pushing the Tesla. Okay. Golly.
Still happens, but not as often. Now it's the payment systems that are like the biggest pain, that you have to download an app or different payment solutions for every company. So it can be a bit confusing, especially for new EV owners.
Is there a way to do it without downloading an app?
We experienced charging anxiety the first time we tried charging our rental EV. We first went to a Tesla supercharger station near Oslo's airport. In Norway, Tesla chargers are supposed to work for all EVs, but we tried multiple ports and couldn't get any of them to charge our car.
I just tried 2 different superchargers. These are the brand new V4s, and I couldn't get it to work.
We gave up on the Tesla chargers and went to a nearby recharge station instead. But at first we couldn't get that to work either.
I think I'll probably have to get off the phone to download the app.
Luckily, the customer service agent spoke English and we had to download a new app in order to get the charger to work.
She's going through it.
The US is making the same mistake with chargers. Each charging company has their own apps, their own payment methods. But it needs to be as easy as pumping gas in order to achieve mass adoption. Norway is working on improving this with regulations.
Now the big problem is to get access to charging because you can't pay with a credit card here. You need to download an app for every company.
And now, finally, we're also starting to install regular card payment terminals, like credit card or payment card terminals. We know a lot of people have been waiting for those. There's regulation both at the EU level, which means that all the countries in the EU need to have card payment terminals on their...
Okay, but just like with our phones come preloaded with all of the apps that we may need. iPhones have their preferences, True. Androids have their preferences, and I don't know y'all types of phones and things. I know y'all have our types, and anyway, They may have some other brands that have their preloaded apps, right?
Right.
The cars should come with all of them. Just put them all on there so nobody have to deal with this.
I feel like you should instantly download it when you go pick up your vehicle.
Right.
It should be told to you that you have to handle that. You know what I'm saying? And whoever made the app is getting paid. Because they have to have the app in order to function the car. Right. Whoa.
Listen.
Okay.
This is like going to shop for a plug for your video game. You gotta get the right one.
Gotta get the right one. You gotta bring it back.
And your child fusses and cry like, this ain't it.
Going forward, and also Norway has put in place its own regulation, which is even stricter when it comes to deadlines for when this needs to happen.
Once we did get it to work, I was pleasantly surprised how quickly the DC fast charger filled up the car.
Go fast.
Just finished charging.
Yeah, that sun almost down.
We charged the car to about 70%. It only took 15 minutes or so. It went really fast.
Not bad.
So that was pretty impressive. Once we actually got the charging to work, it worked really well and went really fast.
Get you where you're going.
It's very simple. In Norway, it's so practical. You can charge anywhere. So we have a charger in our house. My husband can charge in his work. I can charge it there too.
I know this is kind of off topic, but I wonder how the Netherlands people feel about the Tesla and the EVs. You know what I'm saying? Because they're all bikes. You know what I'm saying? They're about not putting the gas and the pollution in the air and stuff. So they probably loving this.
I don't know.
But it's cars, and they don't do cars. They like the bikes.
Right. And in Norway, so many people are getting new cars. Yeah. They're not taking public transportation. So I don't. They be coming. Never mind. I was gonna say something, but in this climate right now, that ain't good to say.
Gotta catch yourself sometime.
But y'all know like how we like cars here. Y'all like more cars there now.
Launched its new fast V4 superchargers in Norway before the US. We visited one that had just opened. What do you think of these new V4 chargers?
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, that's incredible. It goes so fast. You're staying for 10 minutes, and suddenly you have the possibility to drive for 2 hours. That's phenomenal. It's faster than getting fuel on your car. So I know I'm really happy with the Tesla.
I save a lot of time using Tesla. Because before Tesla, the other car I was driving, I used it to charge 3-4 times per day. But now, sometimes I use to charge one time with just 30 minutes of my time. So I save a lot of time with Tesla.
Anything you miss about driving a gas-powered car?
No. You see, nowadays it's very cheap electricity. And it's the network for charging is very, very good. Often
I thought we did a Norway language video. Because this accent is a little bit different for me.
We never did that.
Norway sound like Norwegians.
Mm-hmm.
They sound like Australians.
I hear that. I hear it.
To me. Yeah, it's different.
In the summer I go in North Sweden and north of Norway. My family is there.
And kind of French in there.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Very good.
We spent a week in Norway, and there were a few moments where we felt range anxiety. We drove out to the countryside and didn't spot any chargers along the way.
Hopefully our battery lasts us.
Hopefully.
Because it feels a little sparse out here.
The other time we felt range anxiety was on the way back to the airport at the end of our trip. Note to rental car companies, it should not be a requirement to return a car fully charged. This is not convenient for travelers that can't charge at home.
Do you ever have range anxiety?
Not anymore. I used to, because I was one of the first that bought a Nissan Leaf, the first generation. And I loved that car. But of course, the range was an issue, especially in the winter time. I used it to the cabin, and one time I had to topple the battery 3 times with fast charging. But today, it's really not a problem. So no worries anymore.
I still get range anxiety.
A lot of people don't think electric vehicles are very great in the winter. What do you have to say about that?
Well, they are better because you can preheat them, so you can come to a warm car, cozy car. Of course, the battery is, when it's cold, it's not as efficient, but with bigger batteries now, preheated batteries, better charging infrastructure, it's not a problem.
I've heard the battery drains faster in the cold.
Yeah, that's true. Of course, you cannot drive the same amount of stretches. I would say that if your car handles like 400 kilometers in the summer, it's probably not more than 320 in the winter. That's the way it is. But you have to plan a little bit more, but it's really not a problem.
How is it in the winter?
No, really good because it's so heavy. So you're able to get to your cabin either way. Because that was something, because my parents has cabin. That was one of the main worries we had before driving Tesla. But since it's so heavy, it goes so well.
Now that it's close to its 100% adoption goal, Norway is considering making some changes to the incentives. EV drivers used to get access to the bus lanes, but the bus lanes became so crowded with EVs that they changed it to EV carpools only now.
There are some rolling back on the subsidies that are in place for the use of EVs, especially when it comes to the use of public lanes, the discount for parking, discount for use of ferries, and discount on road tolls. These are gradually being phased down, and eventually they will be probably phased out because.
Okay, so like earlier when they were talking about the use of the bus lanes, I'm like, that's kind of like cars using the bike lanes, right?
Right.
Like it would defeat the purpose
of a lane to be there for that certain specifics.
Yeah. So what was the purpose? Like what was the benefit of using the bus lane? Like I'm sure for those drivers they felt that it was easier, but for the bus drivers that's kind of a nuisance. Like, get out my lane. I'm not sharing the lane with you.
Yeah, because it's the lane has its own purpose. I think it just makes sense to keep it for what it is.
Yeah.
The electric vehicle car is the new normal.
We have this CO2 tax, but of course when you get to 80% market share, then you don't sell a lot of polluting cars and you don't get a lot of CO2 tax. So then you have to lower the incentives for EVs as well. But of course the technology getting better, the production price is going down. So again, today you don't need as high incentives as we did 10 years ago.
Has there been an issue with more wear and tear on the roads since the cars are heavier?
That is more a question when it comes to exceptions from taxes and so on, because more and more people are arguing that also the electrical vehicles have to pay their fair share of that. When we are fully electrical, of course, electrical vehicles have to pay their fair share amount of using the roads.
Has there been an issue with batteries degrading over time? And I am curious if there's a plan in place when an electric vehicle reaches its end of life. Is there battery recycling that happens here in Norway?
There is a European plan for recycling batteries, and some projects also in Norway where you can hand in the batteries. There are common EU regulation for recycling of batteries, and this is an important aspect for the way ahead.
Very important.
So we want EV vehicles to have a long lifespan in Norway.
Norway has a robust...
very important, because I was just actually thinking, and kind of answer my question. Gas cars, obviously, y'all know, once your battery is kind of like draining out and it's to its last life, somebody can come around and give you a jump.
Right. Or you can replace it.
You can't do that with an EV car. Can somebody give you an electrical jump? Like, can they boost your electricity?
I don't know.
It sounds funny talking about it.
It does. Like, I remember the very first time I saw electric vehicle and they opened the trunk in the front. And I'm like, hold up.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little strange. I'm not totally against them at all. I'm not against them at all. It's just, I don't know, just some of the things, like, I'm thinking of like old school cars, right? Like in our community, the Cadillacs. Like, we know people who have old school Cadillacs from way back whenever, right? We're not there yet with these. So do people really know like how long they last? Norway. Okay, it's been a good, good years. When they started having that Pike
the Spike 2016?
I thought it was around 2010. It was earlier than that, huh?
2010, yeah. I think 2010.
Around there, so it's been about 15 years. You know, do y'all still have the very first car y'all had? Like, let us know.
Yeah, y'all been holding it down.
Yeah, let us know.
EV market as well. And everyone we spoke to said the batteries hold up well over time. This is a used Tesla.
Yes, this is from 2014.
Is there a big used EV market here in Norway?
Okay.
Yes, it's very many electric cars.
You bought this in 2017?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so
I have drove 200,000 kilometers, and the batteries. I checked, it was just 3.5% missing kilometers.
Yeah, I feel you.
That's not bad, but you have to take care of that. Don't charge too much. I never charge more than 80%.
What would you say to someone who says that electric cars are just as bad for the environment as gas-powered cars?
This argument is the reason we don't want to rush the transition more than necessary. So that's why we are concerned about the high volume of sales, that we've been pushing cars maybe too much, and the number of cars increasing. And we want people to use the old car its entire lifespan. We definitely can see the different environmental aspects of producing cars itself. It's a consumption that has its negative aspects on the environment. We need to take into account when changing the policies going ahead.
And like the US, Norway has its share of EV skeptics as well.
We still have a lot of skeptics for EVs, both internationally and in Norway as well. They are climate skeptics, they are EV skeptics, and they have a lot of myths about EVs, the fire hazard, where the energy comes from, the production emissions, and so on. So we still have those discussions all the time, even in Norway.
With all these electric vehicles, have fires been a problem?
No. We had a big car fire parking garage a few years ago, and there was some rumors that it was an electric car that started the fire, and then the whole media went amok. But eventually it was not the EV that started the fire.
It's
it
a
was
car,
a
diesel.
car. But of course a lot of EVs were parked there, but the fire didn't spread to the batteries.
Has there been any issues with fires?
Not here, no. None whatsoever. But of course, if an EV burns, it will burn for a long time, but it will not be explosions and stuff like that you have in a gasoline car.
What the US do?
Norway is approximately the size of New Mexico in square miles. And with a population of 5.5 million, it has a similar population as South Carolina. So it is hard to compare the United States and Norway, but there are some big takeaways.
Charging today in the US, in Europe, in Norway is still way too difficult for end users. It doesn't always work. It's very often cumbersome. You have to run around with different apps. These are things that, top down in a region, in a country, can be regulated in a way that it's benefiting the consumer without interfering with the free market environment.
Standardization is important for the industry and also for the users. For DC charging, for a long time you had the Shadable, the Asian type of DC fast chargers, and you had CCS like the European standard. And Tesla had their own. And now it's more and more merging and more one standard, and I think that's extremely important.
What's the biggest lesson you have for the United States when it comes to electric vehicles?
I say go for it. But you need to have the charging infrastructure so you can actually travel as far as you want, not being afraid of running out of power in the middle of nowhere. So the government should help the infrastructure for charging to a certain level, and then it will be commercially viable after a while. So do that first nudge, and then everything will start working by itself after a while.
What's something Norway can teach the United States when it comes to EV adoption?
Well, focus on the cars, that to get people to buy the cars, it has to be economic beneficial. And again, we are electrifying ferries, buses, everything in Norway now. The next thing is the big trucks. Still some challenges, but it looks quite promising.
What mistakes have been made over the years? What's some lessons that you've learned?
Well, there has been mistakes. I have to be honest about that. But I think you always have to try, but in small scale. And you have to try different technology. If that is your approach, you are destined to make smaller mistakes.
It is new technology. It's a new evolving ecosystem. So there are unavoidable lessons learned, right, in that respect. So that's a bit of a forward-leaning statement towards other countries. Make sure that if you want to build a charging station, the construction permit is there on time. If you want to equip that charging station with sufficient power, make sure that there's a process at the DSO level, so the distribution system operator, that can handle such a request very swiftly. And then on the technology side, be aware that if there are different technology providers, not all of that hardware, software, etc. is a plug-and-play state. So they all need to come together to make it work. And that's a learning not only in Norway, but everywhere we build charging infrastructure.
Any misconceptions about electric vehicles you want to clear up?
Well, a lot of people think of electric cars and charging the same way that they think of a gasoline or diesel car and fueling it up, in that you have to come here to our charging station to get energy. But that's really not how it works. About 90% of charging happens at home. So it's not quite the same as having to go to a gas station to fill up your car. You usually have a car that's fully charged in the morning at your house, and then you stop to charge with us when you absolutely have to.
Anything you miss about having a gas-powered car?
No, not really. I've been driving electric for more than 8 years now, and it's...
That's a distant memory.
There's no going back.
What kind of car do you drive?
Well, I have two cars, one Kia EV6, Korean one, and I have one Jeep Adventure, which is 100% electric as well.
So you don't have a gas-powered car at all?
Never again. I promise you.
I don't know, y'all.
Is that the rest?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to stop right there.
I don't know, y'all. I actually like the smell of gas when you're pumping it.
That is the weirdest thing for some of us, because I'm the same way.
Yeah, I do.
It's weird. I know y'all going to probably be like, gas smell. Oh, my Lord. Yeah.
Oh, they call it petrol.
Petrol. Yep.
I'm not against it. I would get a hybrid, you know, but only if I have my charging port at home.
Yeah, I think they're still like in a trial and error, only because you have so many people that still getting involved and they're still getting away from the gasoline cars and they want to go with EV. And then you have all of these apps that people are trying to still get involved with, so they don't have confusion with that. They're different charging ports, so they find a port that actually makes sense. And then you have distant anxiety from people who are in these EVs. And there's a lot of things that they're still learning from, you know, from this experience. So I think a lot of other locations can benefit from these growing points that they're learning from, you know?
Yeah, because, child, listen, I like road trips too much. Like the lady said, she going to the mountains. I'm going to the bayou.
Because that straight road looking like it's nothing ahead,
listen,
I'm going to be looking at that
alligator.
The alligator.
You're going to be looking at the alligator across the road.
I was going to be looking at my charger to see how much juice I got left in the car. What?
We're going down to the bayou.
Yeah, we're going to go by the bayou. Definitely. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing for y'all, man. I think it's a good thing y'all got so many different options of cars that y'all can choose from. And y'all really going electric. I'm talking about from the boats to the trucks to the everything is electric. Man, it's crazy.
Never thought I would see a European country start to abandon their public transportation. Y'all better get back on them buses before y'all have them, okay?
I feel like we're going to be in the air pretty soon, if you ask me. If everything goes electric, it's going to go up. It's technology. Why wouldn't it go up?
I understand, but distance, you talking about range anxiety. The air? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Leave the air alone.
Let's just stick with the EV. Let's just keep it on the ground.
Because what we going to charge there in the clouds?
iCloud.
iCloud is crazy.
Yes.
All right, y'all. We hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Be sure to subscribe. We'll see you soon.
Peace.